Good evening. We'd like to reconvene our regular session at this time. Mrs. Troublefield, will you call roll, please?
Mrs. Briggs? Here. Mr. Cathell? Here. Mrs. Klein? Here. Mr. Neal? Mr. Peden?
Here.
Mrs. Pryor? Here. Mr. Steele?
Here.
Mrs. Taylor?
Here.
Mrs. West Warner?
Here.
Mrs. Wright?
Here. We do have a quorum. 3.02, approval of the agenda for May 19th, 2025 meeting. Need a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Now, if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. .04, Indian River Student Government.
Here we go.
Good evening. My name is Logan Truitt, and I'm the Rising President of the Student Council for our 2025-2026 school year. To begin, our school's academic department has just begun the standardized testing to conclude our year. Our AP students have been preparing for their rigorous exams with the hopes of attaining college credits while enrolled in high school. Almost all AP tests have been completed to each student's highest ability. We wish them good luck and hope for their achievements in the future. DESA testing is also coming up quickly for our underclassmen. Our 10th grade students taking the biology test and 11th grade students taking the history test have been given resources to aid their test taking. We know all students will perform their best. Fourth marking period progress reports were distributed to students, classes are finishing up the final units or topics, and final exams are right around the corner. But our students are ready to finish strong. Indian River's clubs have been extremely active recently. Our chapter of the National Honor Society has just collected volunteer logs from all members. Individuals each achieved 25 or more hours aiding and benefiting our community through volunteer work. Other clubs, such as the Leo Club and the Triumph Music Honor Society, are beginning to wrap up their year by electing new officers while also posting some of their final volunteer opportunities. Furthermore, our Enviro Act and Student Council partnered up this past weekend on Saturday for our annual beach cleanup in Bethany Beach. Together, we collected trash in hopes of better and cleaner beaches. Just traveling to Orlando, Florida, our BPA competed in the National Leadership Conference while also enjoying some fun in the sun. We'd like to congratulate two individuals, Wilson Mendoza Velasquez and Caitlin Kolf, for both placing as national finalists. The Technology Student Association, with the help of the Leo Club, held a bake sale this past weekend to raise funds to travel to Nashville, Tennessee for their National Leadership Conference. The marching band will be playing at the VFW in Ocean View on Memorial Day weekend with their patriotic melodies like God Bless America to honor the veterans and traditions they hold. The band also recently just traveled to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where they had two performances for both the choir and the band and enjoyed multiple tourist attractions. Dollywood, the band's favorite, but they also toured the Titanic Museum and saw an amazing performance of Country Theater Tonight. Spring sports are also finishing out their last seasonal games and beginning to see where they'll place in conference. Our boys and girls track and field and tennis teams have already qualified and competed in the conference matches or meets. Women's lacrosse just recently broke a school record for having the most seasonal wins and making it to the playoffs for the first time in program history. Way to go, Lady Indians. The Ira baseball team was just announced as the 2025 Henalopen South Conference champions. Their game-winning runs and hard work throughout the season paid off. In addition, the IR softball team also qualified for the playoffs and had 4 girls make all-conference or honorable mention. Even with all the testing, sports game, and volunteer work, the upperclassmen recently got dressed in their best for prom on May 3rd at Seed and Sapling. Hopefully everyone enjoyed a fun night. Decision Day rolled through Indian River, celebrating our 12th grade seniors and their higher education prospects. Students are committing up and down the coast for various majors and programs, and they were able to wear their new school colors while signing letters of intent during lunch. Continuing with the senior class, we are recognizing their accomplishments in different clubs, their senior award ceremony, senior sports night, and their graduation on June 3rd. Congratulations to the class of 2025. It's almost a wrap on the 2024-2025 school year. We can't wait to see all that will happen during the next academic school year. Thank you and good night.
3.05 and 3.06, approval of the regular meeting minutes for April the 28th, and also for the executive session minutes of April 28th, 2025. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Recognitions. Dr. Owens?
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. We have several recognitions this evening. Could you please join me at the podium? Our first recognition is All County Honors Choir for Southern Delaware School of the Arts. Dr. Evans?
Good evening. I'm Rick Evans, principal of SDSA. I'm going to call Mary Caligieri. She's our vocal music teacher to explain the program that these students had to go through to be honored for all county choir and all state choir. So, Mrs. Caligieri.
Good evening. I have the honor to present to you some amazing students from Southern Delaware School of the Arts who were selected first for All County Honors Choir. All County Honors Choir is where the best of the best from each school within our county come together, and they do an intensive festival type event for 2 days full of rehearsals, and then they have a performance the next day. And I'd like to acknowledge those students who participated in All County this year. Ava Johnson, she was not able to be here today. Zion Morrison. Sasha O'Neill. Also, I'm going to ask that for those students who also participated in All-State, don't wander too far, or you'll stay up on the stage. Aaliyah Cannon. Briella Maskey. Kennedy McGee. Caitlin Turek, who is not able to be here tonight. Jonathan Kaur. We also had Trenton Larson, who's not able to be here tonight, I believe, unless Trenton's here and I didn't see him. Don't believe. Okay, also Xander Watson. We also had Fritz Bird, who I believe was not also able to come tonight unless he snuck in without me seeing. And we have AJ Sanchez, who I believe also is not able to be here this evening, and Drake Meyer. 13 students participate in all-county honors choir. You want to do it? Oh, I can also. So All-State Choir is a very, very highly competitive honors choir as well, where the students have to undergo a really intensive audition process. It's like the state championship for vocal music for us, essentially. And I was extremely proud to say that this year we had 12 students who got in, which was the highest amount of students from any school in the state. So we're really proud of the representation we had. So I'll announce the all-state county members now. Ava Johnson was not able to be here today. Zaya Morrison. Sasha O'Neill. Aaliyah Cannon. Kennedy McGee. Ellie Contianco, who is not able to be here. Caitlin Turek, who is not able to be here. Trenton Larson, who is not able to be here, but he also was rated the 5th highest tenor in the state, which was really exciting. Fritz Bird was not able to be here. He was ranked number 1 tenor in the state. AJ Sanchez and Drake Meyer.
Next, we're going to celebrate our all-county band students. So I'm going to ask Melody Onishchuk, our instrumental music teacher, to come up and introduce those students.
This one's dead.
I'll duck under. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here tonight to recognize 3 outstanding students whose dedication, passion, and talent have brought pride to our school through their participation in the 2025 Sussex County Honors Band. These students had to go through an audition process, just like the county and all-state choirs, in order to earn their seats in the band, and then they participated in a 2-day festival back in February at Cape Henlopen High School. Caden Hernandez. Leslie Benavides. And Ruby Ramirez Presley.
Okay, our next two recognitions are for Business Professionals of America. So we have both we have Indian River High School, but first up, we'll have Selbyville Middle School. So I could ask Mr. McCready to join me at the podium.
Good evening. Selbyville Middle School is excited to have students from our Business Professionals of America organization recognized this evening for their qualification and performance at the BPA National Conference in Orlando earlier this month. It would be challenging to have these students set up for success without the dedication of our co-advisors, Mr. Joshua Sweetman and Mrs. Vicki Makridas. These individuals dedicate countless hours to coach and support our students in preparation for both state and national competition. At this time, I'd like to recognize and thank our co-advisors, Mr. Sweetman, who couldn't be with us this evening, and Mrs. Makridas for their work with our BPA students. Thank you. We had 3 students that were unable to make it this evening. Actually, I think it's 4. I'd like to start off by recognizing 3. Hayden Benner and Molly Hebner finished first in the State of Delaware Conference for presentation team and competed at the National Conference in the same category. So congratulations to Hayden and Molly. Next, Next, Molly Hebner also placed in the top 10 at the National Conference for extemporaneous speech. Congratulations, Molly. Moving on, Caitlin Prenderville qualified and competed at the National Conference for Entrepreneurship Exploration. Congratulations, Caitlin. Next, Sarah Kopf finished in the top 12 at the National Conference for Human Resources Exploration. Congratulations, Sarah. And last, but certainly not least, the team of Tristan Matthews, Kevin Yang, and Chase Durston placed 3rd at the National Conference in the category of Administrative Support Team. Congratulations, gentlemen, on a job well done, and congratulations to all of our BPA members and advisors on another successful year. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Indian River High School. I'd like to welcome Dr. Jeff Bunting.
Well, you've given me a microphone, and I get to rave about the exceptionalism of my students. But as you can see, the middle schools, with their advisor staff and the work they put in, always send me excellent material to work with. So, BPA is an organization that focuses on the development of workforce skills, leadership, and service. And I could speak to you for, well, the remaining time we have this evening about all of those various segments of BPA. But we're here to talk about the recognition from the competitive events component. We don't have stadiums, we don't have performances, we don't have DSN broadcasting the students' accomplishments live. But we do have as much hard work and dedication that these young people put into the events as any other of our exceptional students. And we are a year-round organization. We begin in July with officer meetings. We have the students begin preparation in the fall to compete in late winter, and then those qualifying students compete representing Indian River High School, the Indian River School District, and the state of Delaware through their sheer determination, their persistence, their talent, and we want to recognize them for those accomplishments this evening. So our competitive events range from finance, business administration, management, information systems, digital communications and design, management, marketing and human resources, and health administration. We have a broad range of talent that is directly applicable to the workforce. And these students select their events, and we have several that are not able to be here, but I'd like to give them some kudos before we bring the remaining students up on the stage. Ashley Benavides, she's been a member of BPA for 4 years, and she's qualified 3 times for nationals. She's a state champion in multiple events, and this year she qualified to compete as a state champion, placing in banking and finance and economic research. We have Catherine Bunting, who's a sophomore, qualified her 2nd year in a row in her event, Legal Office Procedures. We have Dasani Coleman. She's a 3-year veteran of BPA, and she qualified for the first time to compete nationally in health research presentation. We have John Plancher, a 1st-year member of BPA, a sophomore. He qualified to compete in 2 events, computer security and device configuration in troubleshooting. So you guys are getting a feel for the breadth of talent with which I'm privileged to work with, along with my co-advisor, Ms. Hook and Ms. Barrett. So the students who are able to be with us this evening, we have Emily Davis. Emily Davis, come on up. It's Emily's 2nd year competing with BPA. It's the first time she's qualified for nationals, and she is an amazing young woman. We have expectations for, great expectations. Okay, yes. Okay. Second one we'd like to recognize for her excellence is Harper Stanley. Harper Stanley is a 2-year member of BPA. She competed in, qualified in legal office procedures, and she's a wonderful young woman who's taken on the role of marketing officer and has done an amazing job promoting BPA. Yeah, if you would like to take these. Third member we'd like to recognize is Zakaya Yarbrough. Zakaya is a 3rd-year member of BPA, and she has competed in interview skills and advanced interview skills and has kind of established herself as a legacy in that field. It's the 3rd year consecutively she's qualified to compete nationally in that event. She's an exceptional leader, and she's wonderful. She'll be graduating, and we're going to miss her. Okay. The next student we'd like to recognize is Wilson Mendoza Velasquez. Wilson's been a member of BPA all 4 years of his high school career. This is his 2nd time qualifying for nationals. And Wilson earned 5th place in the country out of a field of roughly 5,200 students competing from 848 chapters of BPA. Outstanding job, Wilson. And last but not least, absolutely, we have Caitlin Kopf. Come on up, Caitlin. Caitlin's a veteran of BPA. She started as a middle school fierce competitor. This is actually her 4th trip to nationals, earning her spot on the team in both years in middle school and both years of her high school career. She's an amazing young woman. She placed 3rd in the country in extemporaneous speech. She's also my incoming BPA president this year. So, Caitlin, thank you.
Next up, we would like to recognize Dr. Alyssa Booth. She has been selected as the National Distinguished Principal of the Year as recognized. She's our principal at John M. Clayton Elementary. That selection as the Distinguished Principal of the Year 2025 is awarded by the Delaware Association of School Administrators and the National Association of Elementary School Principals. Dr. Booth was surprised with this award at a recent pep rally that I was able to join with her and the entire school. So I'm not sure how, I believe she was surprised, but when she saw some of the distinguished folks there, I think she had us figured out. But the students were extremely excited to see her accept this award. This is evidence of her outstanding contributions to John M. Clayton, her community, and the education profession. Dr. Booth, please join us. Okay, next I'd like to welcome Dr. Jennifer Lovelet. She is going to present our multilingual learner language achievement students, which is a high honor. We're recognizing our students at the southern end of the district this evening, but we'll also have that same pleasure here at the northern end as well. So, Dr. Lovelet, I'll give this one.
Good evening. Tonight, I am proud to recognize a group of extraordinary students, our former multilingual learners who have reached a significant milestone. These students recently took the WIDA Access Assessment, which measures English language proficiency across listening, speaking, reading, and writing. I am thrilled to share that they have scored high enough to exit the multilingual learner classification.
Esta noche estoy orgullosa de reconocer a un grupo de estudiantes extraordinarios, nuestros antiguos estudiantes multilingües que han alcanzado un hito significativo. Estos estudiantes realizaron recientemente la evaluación de WIDA Access que mide el dominio del inglés en las áreas de comprensión, auditiva, expresión oral, lectura y escritura. Me complace compartir que obtuvieron una puntuación lo suficientemente alta como para salir de la clasificación de estudiantes multilingües.
This is no small accomplishment. These students are resilient, determined, and incredibly hardworking. Every day, they rise to meet the demands of their grade-level academic content, all while mastering a new language. Their achievement is a testament not only to their perseverance, but also to their strength of character and unwavering commitment to learning.
Este no es un logro menor. Estos estudiantes son resilientes, decididos e increíblemente trabajadores. Cada día se esfuerzan por cumplir con las exigencias del contenido académico de su grado, a la vez que dominan un nuevo idioma. Su logro es un testimonio no solo de su perseverancia, sino también de su fortaleza de carácter y su inquebrantable compromiso con el aprendizaje.
Being multilingual is a gift. These students are now truly multilingual individuals, fluent in both their native language and English. They are cultural bridges, community connectors, and future leaders. As author Frank Smith once said, one language sets you in a corridor for life. Two languages opens every door along the way.
Ser multilingüe es un don. Estos estudiantes ahora son personas verdaderamente multilingües con fluidez tanto en su lengua materna como en inglés. Son puentes culturales, conectores comunitarios y futuros líderes. Como dijo una vez el autor Frank Smith, un idioma le abre un camino para la vida, pero dos idiomas te abren todas las puertas del camino. Su bilingüismo y en muchos casos su multilingüismo es un gran activo para nuestras escuelas, nuestras comunidades y nuestro país. Enriquece nuestras aulas con perspectivas diversas y fortalece a nuestra futura fuerza laboral en una sociedad cada vez más globalizada.
Their bilingualism, and in many cases multilingualism, is a tremendous asset to our schools, our community, and our country. It enriches our classrooms with diverse perspectives and strengthens our future workforce in an increasingly global society. I would also like to take a moment to thank the families of these students. Your encouragement and support have been essential to your children's success. We celebrate you tonight as well.
También para terminar quisiera agradecerle a las familias de estos estudiantes por su apoyo y aliento que han sido esenciales para el éxito de sus hijos. Los celebramos a ustedes esta noche también.
So we have 174 students to celebrate. So we are splitting it between the southern end of our district and the northern end. So tonight, we're going to go school by school, and we would like those students who are listed in the program to come up, along with any coordinators that are here with their building and admin also. So we're going to start with John M. Clayton Elementary, so those students and coordinators can come on up to the stage. Next up, Philip C. Schall. We invite you up to the stage. Lord Baltimore Elementary School. Southern Delaware School of the Arts. Selbyville Middle School. Millsboro Middle School. And Indian River High School.
Okay, that was several well-deserved recognitions this evening. Let's give everyone one more round of applause. Okay, before we move to our next agenda item, I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Briggs and Mrs. Klein on their recent election back onto the school board. So congratulations, welcome back. Also joining us this evening is Dr. Michelle Parsons. She will be joining us and sworn in July. Thank you, Dr. Parsons, for joining us this evening. Okay, Mrs. Wright, public comment.
Okay, at this time, we come to public comment. The school board welcomes the opportunity to hear from the public during our public comment session at the beginning and at the end of each public session. Members of the public speaking as individuals or a member who represents an organization will be allotted up to 3 minutes. As per the board policy BDDH, in order to comply with the First Amendment, the board will not entertain protracted public comment within favor of or against a staff member. If a speaker makes defamatory statements or invades the privacy rights of a student or employee, the speaker is responsible for such statements and may be held liable. We thank you for adhering to this policy when sharing your public comments.
Okay, first up, Molly Carter.
Good evening. On Monday, May 12th, I attended your curriculum committee meeting, which is open to the public. I saw that you had school discipline on the agenda, and I had concerns about over-identification of students as needing IEPs and being placed into separate settings to hide discipline numbers. I also had concerns about students with different settings on their IEPs having their least restrictive environment violated when a school combines students with these different needs despite teacher concerns. I had also learned of discussion that this combination would continue next year across different grade levels. When I brought this up at committee meeting, I was made to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. District leaders looked at me point blank and said nothing I had described had happened. What I discovered in the days after that meeting was that district leaders had been present in a school-based meeting discussing changes to special education that very same day they claimed to know nothing. Some had discussed in their cabinet meeting that same morning as well. I'm not against adding highly qualified teachers and departmentalizing special education. And I respect that scheduling decisions cannot be finalized, but I am expecting that these groups will not be combined in the next academic year like they were this year. The IDEA law is very clear that individualized placements must be based on the IEP, not convenience, staffing, or a grouping rationale. Case law also clearly states that, quote, to the maximum extent possible, children with disabilities are educated with children who are not disabled. This directly impacts setting B students. I suggest that you also check Daniel R.R. versus State Board of Ed 1989 for the two-pronged test for determining least restrictive environment. An ongoing problem with district leadership is covering up and not telling full truths. I asked 2 district leaders why they weren't totally honest during the meeting, and they justified it by saying they didn't see how what I was talking about tied to behavior. Some board members witnessed their vehement denial of knowing what I was talking about during that meeting. When you violate least restrictive environment, you are playing with fire. I hope to get assurances that this will not continue next year for any child in this district. And I also hope that the board starts to hold leadership accountable for not telling the whole truth, knowingly not doing the right thing for convenience sake, and making parents feel as though they cannot speak and be an advocate for all students, not just their own. One of your leaders thinks that I have no right to advocate for all students, and some of you have seen that email. This district cannot financially afford this battle right now. If more teachers are needed to ensure separate placements can continue, I feel confident that the board would work collaboratively with the Director of HR and Finance to do what is required by federal and case law and what is right for the success of students in the district. If honor students are guaranteed a separate placement, I think a special
15
education
seconds.
attorney would have a hard time understanding why these students aren't guaranteed the same as is done in other districts in Delaware.
Next signed up is Carol Hauk, Town of Ocean View.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really just wanted to speak during the SRO conversation if necessary, but they said I should sign up for this. So if you have any questions, all of our information that we shared is on board docs. I believe it's all been shared with you, so if anybody has any questions, we want you to know we're here to answer them. But other than that, I have nothing else to add.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to new business, 6.01, school choice applications for the 24-25 good calls. Mr. Lewis?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. Tonight, on your board docs, you will see a total of 3 school choice applications for the 24-25 good calls, and we're asking to accept all 3 of those applications.
Any questions?
I make a motion, we accept all 3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 6.02, school choice applications for the 2025-2026 school year.
On your packet, you will see a total of just 1 application for 25-26 school choice, and we're asking to accept that application as well.
I make a motion, we accept that application.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 6.03, school choice applications for 25-26 good calls.
Yes, ma'am. On your packet, you will find a total of 2 school choice applications, and we are asking to accept both of those applications as well.
I make a motion, we accept those applications as well.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lewis. 6.04, proposed 2026-2027 boundary changes.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. As we've presented here over the last couple months, the necessity to look at our boundaries with the move to the new Sussex Central High School and the Sussex Central Middle School. Mrs. Blannard, along with Mr. Bryan, have done work to communicate with our families, and she's going to give you an update this evening, and we're hoping for consideration for board action.
Yes, thank you. The changes would take place at the onset of the 26-27 school year, and this boundary change would impact 28 families, totaling 39 students at both Georgetown Elementary and Georgetown Middle. Last week, Mrs. Ilian, Dr. Carter, and I met with the impacted families to discuss the boundary change and address their questions. 17 of the 28 families requested to remain at their current school, either Georgetown Elementary or Georgetown Middle, with transportation services provided until their child completes either the 5th grade or the 8th grade. So they would request to be grandfathered in light of this boundary change. 5 of the 28 families indicated interest with the boundary change, and they would have their child start at East Millsboro at the 26-27 school year or the new Sussex Central Middle School. And then we're currently awaiting a response from 6 additional families that we have not been able to talk to understand their interest for next school year. So at this time, if there are no questions, we are seeking board approval with the 26-27 boundary change and approval to grandfather students to remain at their current school with transportation services until the student either completes 5th grade at Georgetown Elementary or 8th grade at Georgetown Middle School.
Any questions? We entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
We
Second.
have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you. 6.05, 2025 Indian River School District summer work hours.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. As we've done the last several years, we would ask the board to consider summer work hours from June 16th, which is the week immediately following the departure of our students, through August 21st, 2025. Those hours would be Monday through Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Friday would be closed on June 19th, 2025, and July 3rd, 2025, in honor of Juneteenth and July 4th. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions? Would entertain a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 6.06, discipline disproportionately improvement plans. Dr. Jones?
Yes, good evening. Thank you very much. So I am here tonight to share with you regarding state disproportionality when it comes to discipline and the action plans that 2 of our schools have developed as part of that. In 2018, the state passed Senate Bill 85, and that was in compliance with U.S. Departments of Education and Justice, which recommended regular evaluation of school discipline, and that includes policies, procedures, and feedback from stakeholders. Schools that suspend, this is Senate Bill 85, schools that suspend at a high rate or show significant suspension disparities must take meaningful corrective action by implementing an improvement plan. Part of the restate's required plan needs to include a full review of current discipline policies and procedures, and we did so as part of our administrative meetings in February, March, and April for all secondary schools. We do have 2 schools identified because they have had at least 3 years of consecutive disproportionate gaps in out-of-school suspensions. And tonight I am here to share with you the specific action steps those schools will take as part of their improvement plans they have developed for the state. I will first begin by sharing that you should have a copy of those 2 plans in your board folder this evening if you would like to follow along as I share this information with you. We will need, at the end of this, I will provide time for questions, but we will also need board action tonight in the form of a vote to either approve the plans and proceed forward with submission to the state, or to deny, which means then we go back into a revision stage and would bring them back for board approval as the final plans are due on July 1st. So with our plans, our first school this evening, Millsboro Middle School, has been identified for disproportionate gaps in suspending African American students, students with disabilities, and low-income students out of school. Beginning on page 1 of Millsboro Middle's plan, you will see that they've completed a comprehensive needs assessment, including garnering feedback from all stakeholder groups, a data analysis of all relevant discipline data, a review of their existing programming, professional development, and practices. And as a result of their needs assessment, Millsboro Middle is committing to taking the following action steps for 25-26. First one is training all staff in behavioral MTIS and the district's student problem-solving team process. Second is training staff in culturally responsive discipline strategies and their school's proactive You Reflect discipline procedure, which provides students with minor infractions of reflection time and a time for goal setting for improved behaviors. And then finally, they will plan and implement school-based as well as in the community-based family nights aimed at bridging relationship gaps and increasing parent and family engagement in their school community. Also providing resources to students and families to help them be successful. Secondly, Indian River High School has been identified for disproportionality in out-of-school suspension for African American students. Like MMS, Indian River has also completed a comprehensive needs assessment and is committed to the following. They are awaiting their Delaware School Climate Survey data, which they should be receiving soon, and they're going to use that to further inform their school improvement planning and administrative goal setting with Dr. Owens and Mrs. Blanchard, as well as staff goal setting. They will also train all staff in trauma-informed care, beginning with a book talk that will be facilitated by their school leadership team, and PD that is aimed at supporting staff in relationship building and de-escalation strategies. They also are going to expand the use of their current student support suite as a way to reduce exclusionary practices. and improving their approach to targeted SEL, that's social emotional learning, and behavioral interventions for students. I do have administrators from both schools here with me this evening, so at this time I would like to open it for any questions that you may have.
Dr. Jones,
Mr. Steele.
one of the reasons that I ran for the school board was discipline. And I believe, my eyesight's not the best, but I believe we have teachers sitting in that back corner, am I correct? If we were to ask the teachers in this school district, has discipline gotten better since Senate Bill 85 started, or has it gotten worse?
So I think everyone would have a different lens on how they look at that. I think you would hear both answers, honestly. I think that it's the impact that the practices we use with our discipline on academics. I think that some would say it has had a negative impact since the implementation of Senate Bill 85.
I will be very honest. I haven't had the lights talk to me. Everything I've heard has been just the opposite. I'm a math person. You can't put a number on behaviors. Behaviors are learned. There are some deal with trauma. To me, that's totally different. But there are some behaviors our teachers are putting up with. I'm sorry, improvement plan or not. I'm not going to sit on this board and think that that's okay when it's not. I'm just not going to do that. So, you know, I think we might be to a position somewhere where we might want to take a look at our staff and survey them, and let's find out what's working, what's not working, and then send the state a plan that says, this is what we think will work, and push it forward. Because I see these, I sat here this weekend and went through our local budget line item by line item. The cost of our local monies that have gone skyrocketed are all due to legislation. And I'm telling you, you know that as well as I do, when we have legislators making legislation, it generally doesn't have a great impact on us. And I know from sitting in your chair many times, the superintendent group, they don't support it. But guess what? It goes through anyway, and we're stuck with doing plans and doing these things, which means now somebody's going to have to take a job that they now work probably 10, 12 hours a day. Now you're going to have to do a little bit more. And I'm not okay with that. I'm 1 out of 10 people. I'm not okay with it. I think there's going to have to come a time where we really need to look at our schools and get some input back from our staff of exactly what that environment's like, and maybe march up to Legislative Hall and let those folks up there know, this is what you gave us, this is what we're dealing with, and it's not what we dealt with 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and are our schools much safer? Thanks to people like Mr. Lewis and other people who have pushed, Mr. Cathell, who have pushed school safety, that's where we are. But this sort of thing, it just puts us in a position, this type of legislation, that it hurts our other safety initiatives around the district.
And we do have administrators who have expressed that to those overseeing this initiative at the state, because there are some infractions for which our administrators refuse to concede on. There are some infractions, if you're fighting, if it's a violent offense of any sort, our administrators are going to act on that, and they will take the hit to their discipline, because we can't compromise that safety, which is why I think a lot of what you see in their improvement plans focuses on those kids who the behaviors might be related to their social emotional learning, and as you said, the trauma.
I'd like to piggyback on what he said. Before I sat in the seat on this board, I reached out to Dr. Hattier last year because the mandatory social emotional learning takes away from the kids who are actually behaving properly and doesn't give them the opportunity to, during enrichment, to get that time they need to go sit one-on-one with that teacher who may be able to help them. Instead, they're forced to sit in a classroom and experience the social emotional learning period rather than get the help, which is what they need to be educated. They don't need the help on the behavior. And I think it's unfair to punish the many for the few.
Any other comments?
I want to commend what the schools have done here. I know sometimes we're put in situations we don't want to be put in, and there's many factors that go into why this occurred.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank Millsboro Middle School and Indian River High School for taking the time and the work to come up with these action plans that have been mandated by legislation that sometimes is developed by people who are not experts in the field.
Correct.
And I do want to say, Ms. Taylor, I agree 100% with you. I'm certainly not reflecting on you two gentlemen in the front. Matter of fact, I'm more likely to commend you for standing up for what's right.
And I would just like to say that I think it's awful that we have to get reprimanded for doing a job that needs to be done. And when I say I mean us, I mean the whole district, because it's a reflection on the whole district. And at some point in time, as we said in committee, we're going to have to step up to the plate. For lack of a better term, we're going to have to buck the system and get with the politicians and the people that are writing and DOE and say, we welcome you to come to our classrooms on any given day, sit there and observe it, and then tell us how you would write it up. Because they sit and over, no reflection on politics, but they sit and over and make plans for things that they are not aware of and for functions that happen that they have no clue. So, thank you, guys. Anyone else? Thank you.
Yeah. So because these are supposed to be submitted by July 1st, should we, I guess I'm coming back to continue conversation with the board and bring back for a vote?
Are you going to bring this back once Indian River finishes their school climate review?
So no, that is actually one of their steps because the data will not be available until after this plan is due. So one of their action steps is to actually then take that data and triangulate it with the data they've already looked at and to see if there are additional action steps that need to be added.
I would think we should be able to go ahead and take action on it tonight, because the plans are written, the guideline is set, and you just have to, Indian River just has to fill in with their figures and data that they have, but we can do whatever the board says.
I'll make a motion, we accept the plans at this particular point. I do want to sit down once these go in this summer, and I think we need to take a very good look at our entire discipline program.
We can revisit that.
I'm sorry?
We can revisit that at a later date, but I think we need to accept these now.
Okay,
if
so we have a motion,
agree
is that
as
a
board.
second?
I'm a second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
6.07, Sussex Central High School uniforms. That's for fall cheer, volleyball alternate, and girls basketball.
Yes, those are available within board docs and were discussed at a previous Finance Committee meeting, previously tabled and brought back up for discussion at our most recent committee meeting.
Any questions, concerns, comments?
Is this something that has to be voted on tonight, or can we wait till after the referendum, or?
I believe this is already, the funds are already allocated on here.
These are, Dr. Davis, please help us. I do see you here. These are all paid for by boosters, correct? I know that the volleyball was already previously purchased.
Competitive cheer is a dance dress. It's paid through boosters. It's a little bit timely because the athletes that participate, they actually buy them to fit. So it's coming up real soon. Fall cheer is through the athletic budget. Volleyball is through the boosters. It's the one we already have. Girls basketball is through the athletic budget. And then golf should be stricken.
That's this year's athletic budget,
We don't have
Dr.
it all
Davis, right?
No, it should.
This year's
Correct.
athletic budget.
Correct.
Dr. Davis, when you say that the uniform is one that you already have, it's just adding replacements or?
Now, this one, I mean, the board and committee knows, I've only been here about 10 months, 11 months, and I've talked about it several times. This one was never put to the board and was purchased, and because it's outside of the uniform policy, it should have been put forward to the board for a vote to say whether or not they could use it or not, and it wasn't, but it was purchased, and now we have it. If the board votes it now no, you won't get it back from me.
And that uniform would just.
But
be
it's
for
just going to
certain
sit there,
dates.
you know.
Isn't that an alternate that you were going to
This
use
is an
so many
alternate.
nights
Yep,
a
it's on
year
here.
that you approved?
Yep, there's a
That you can
September
approve.
Military Appreciation Day,
Right.
October Teacher Appreciation Day, November Senior Day.
Any other questions? Comments?
So what are we approving? All of it or
We
just?
would approve all or any of the 1, 2, 3 that are listed. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'm going to make the motion. I think this year's athletic budget, they've got the money budgeted. I would make the motion that we move forward at this point.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I'm opposed.
Mrs. Stubblefield, will you clear the board, please?
Mrs. Briggs?
Yes?
Mr. Cathell?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Peden?
Yes.
Mrs. Pryor?
No.
Mr. Steele?
Yes?
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. West Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright?
Yes. That motion passes by majority.
8-0-1.
6.08 CTE music positions.
Good evening. This agenda item actually encompasses 6.08 and 6.10. So over the course of the past few months, we've done an analysis of our CTE teachers and drama and concert and marching band teachers in conjunction with the EPER schedules that we brought, I believe it was last month. So we are proposing to take those, and they were taken out of the scales that were approved, out of the EPER scales and then putting them in units with extra days. So for the ag teachers, it's a little different. There is a line in Delaware code that allows a 1-unit ag teacher to work 12 months at no additional unit cost on the state side. So we are looking at having them work an additional 37 days a year. For the other CTE teachers, so we're talking BPA, TSA, engineering, Educators Rising, HOSA, and culinary, an additional 15 days each year. And then, drama is included with that. And then for concert and marching band, 19 days. So these will be incorporated into the units, this extra time will use less than 2 units. And all of their time spent during the summer and extra time outside of their contract working on these programs will then be paid for out of the unit, so it has the state-local split. Just a reminder, these CTE organizations are required to have those organizations after school, the BPA programs, the HOSA, all of those after-school groups that, again, you saw earlier compete at the state and national level. So with this, it may result in a slight adjustment to individual pays. However, the staff will be working those additional hours for that additional compensation. They will be tracking their time, but this results in about an $84,000 savings on the local side.
Any questions? So we do these individual motions. A motion for 6.08, which is the CTE music positions.
CTE and music, yes.
And this would go into effect starting with the new contract in September.
Any questions? Comments? Motion?
So moved.
I make a motion, we proceed forward with this plan. If it's going to save $84,000 local money, we need to do everything we can.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Then skip down to 6.10, additional workdays, which is what you had discussed.
Sorry, 6.10 was incorporated in 6.08, so we need 6.09, the extra work pay rates, but we are proposing to table that for this meeting.
Okay. You want to table 6.09?
Yes, ma'am. We are gathering additional information that we'd like to bring to you.
I make a motion, we table 6.09.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 6.10 was already in the motion for when we did 6.08.
Yes, ma'am.
So no additional action needed for 6.10.
Correct.
6.11, school resource officers, contracts, and financial projections.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. Within board docs is information that was shared at our recent Finance Committee meeting and previously shared with our board. I would ask Mrs. Planner to give us an overview of our current school resource officer contracts and additional information.
Yes, thank you. We prepared a document that's public-facing to be able to share a little bit with the public regarding the program that we offer right now. So on an annual basis, we do review our school safety initiatives and our funding sources for our school constable and SRO programs. In December of 2012, our Board of Education made a commitment to ensure the safety of both students and staff through the development and implementation of our constable program. Each school in our district has an armed constable on site during the entire school day, while Indian River High School has 2 armed constables and Sussex Central High School has 3 armed constables on site. Our constables are former law enforcement officers who are annually required to complete the requisite training to be certified as constables under Delaware law. Constables are responsible for monitoring the interior and exterior of the building and campus before, during, and after the school day. They monitor and secure exterior doors throughout the day. They assist with fire and school safety drills. They assist with bus, lunch, and recess duty, and that's really just safety supervision. They escort students and visitors throughout the building. They serve as the lead on each building's comprehensive safety plan. They assist staff and students in the event of an actual school emergency or crisis, and they assist SROs and law enforcement agencies when necessary. Additionally, over the past several years, we have implemented safety measures that do include secure entrance vestibules, where with screening visitors, we make sure that there's a secure point to make sure that they're clear to come into the building. We have increased security cameras in all of our school buildings and on our exterior school campus. And we now have weapon detection systems that are utilized during large sporting events and will be used daily for student entry in both of our high schools. If you look at the second page of the document on board docs, you'll see a breakdown of the cost analysis for our current constable program. And then you'll also see a breakdown for funding we provide during the 24-25 school year for our DSP SROs. We have at Sussex Central High School and Indian River High School, 1 at each. We also have an SRO at Georgetown, a breakdown of the cost and the schools that they serve, an SRO at Millsboro, 1 at Selbyville, and 1 at Ocean View. And that document just provides information on schools that they would oversee and the cost that we paid out this current school year. And then at the bottom of the chart, we have the proposals that were brought forward at committee meeting this month. So we did meet with Millsboro Police Department, and they recommended securing a SRO to serve East Millsboro Elementary for the cost of, they indicated approximately $50,000. The Georgetown Police Department requested to secure an SRO to serve Georgetown Middle, Georgetown Elementary, and North Georgetown Elementary with a cost of $82,480. The Selbyville Police Department is requesting to secure one SRO to serve Selbyville Middle, Philip C. Schowell, Southern Delaware School of the Arts, and District Office for the cost of $82,000. And Ocean View Police Department requested to secure one SRO to serve Lord Baltimore Elementary for the cost of $80,000. Mr. Cathell, is there any information you'd like to add just to the conversations that we've had regarding the programming?
No, you've covered everything. Thank you for doing that. You did a very nice job putting that together, and I appreciate that.
So at this time, we would answer any questions of board members.
I do believe, I came across these line items this weekend. This is all out of local funds, I believe, under our student services, based on our 2017 referendum.
And there's the additional state funding. Mrs. Smith, you can speak further to that.
Correct. So the vast majority of these expenses are coming out of the local safety and security referendum set aside. That was 8 cents of tax collections from the 2017 referendum. We have, in the past couple of years, had to supplement that fund with the state safety and security grant as they allowed constable salaries and SRO contract payments to come out of that grant, which hadn't been allowed previously. So I believe last year, and this is off the top of my head, I believe last year was about $125,000, and this year $250,000 of constable salaries out of that state grant. And the rest is coming out of that local. So all of the SRO payments, the rest of the regular constable salaries and overtime. We do supplement some of the athletic events with constable overtime out of this account, especially with the weapons detection systems. It also incorporates some constable training, the application that we use for our investigative services, and our Identikid system for visitors coming into the schools. So that account started in July of '24 with a balance of about $208,000, and projections as of June 30th will be about $25,000.
You know, this is one of those situations where on one hand, you never want to sacrifice school safety. On the other hand, you're sitting here looking at a budget, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Once we take out generally salaries, OECs, and a few other things in our local budget, there's nothing left.
No.
So our discretionary budget is almost to a point where we have nothing to spend unless we pull it out of reserves. Now, this year, we pulled out $7.3 million out of our reserves. It's going to leave us a balance of about 8. We need 11 to get through the end of September.
Correct.
For operating expenses and for payroll.
Yes. So that is where we are supplementing the summer with the curriculum fund. And we'll repay that when the taxes come in.
Mr. Cathell, what is your expertise? What are your feelings?
So my concern is, like you just mentioned, our financial situation. We don't want to sacrifice that, but we do have our constable programs, but we are in dire straits financially right now. That's my biggest concern.
That's my concern. Because if this referendum doesn't pass, we can't have another referendum until next March. So the funding's not going to be available there next year for these people. It's not going to be there unless we take it out of whatever little reserve we have left.
Or supplement additional with the state grant, which then lessens the projects that we're able to do with that, with replacing doors, aging doors, hardware, cameras, bus cameras, all of that other equipment that also has to be taken care of.
Like I said, darn if you do, darn if you don't. If you move it from one hand to the other, something else got to go.
We're potentially making massive cuts to personnel, programs, anything we can see across the board to save the district money.
We've already cut the discretionary budget on most of the items 10%. And we're going to have to look at more, if it doesn't pass next year. We're going to have to. We have no choice.
I believe in looking at the data, and in the data that was shared at the meeting, the committee meeting that really spoke, the SROs seem to be extremely busy at the high schools and the middle schools. And then the elementary schools have the need, but it definitely doesn't stand out like the middle and the high school. With the constables that we have and the middle schools and high schools being covered by SROs, I didn't know if that could be an option to help kind of take that middle line, looking at the financial need and the definite safety need. We don't know if this referendum is going to pass, and we have to work within our means.
Agreed. And timing-wise, it's not going to help us. If it doesn't pass, it's not going to help us next year at all, because we won't see those monies until the year after. I guess fiscal year 27 is, I believe. Is that right, Dr. Owens?
Correct. We can go back out in March.
Right, but we wouldn't get any funds until 27 fiscal year.
Correct.
So we would have to go through all next year and still be able to make the payroll in July, August, and September, plus.
Has there been any indication of increases to those state security funds? I know that there's no indication that they're going away.
No, I think and it's a little bit of a timing thing. Governor Carney released his recommended budget before he left because that's how the timing works. So we haven't seen a marked up budget or bond bill with Governor Meyer, although obviously the legislature's working on it right now. But a couple years back, they established the Fund for Safety and Security Funds, which leads us to believe it would be an every year thing, where I believe it was 19 and 20, and then we didn't get it for a year or two. But I do believe that the funding that was in the governor's recommended budget in January was substantially the same as it was in previous years, so allocated out to all the districts and charters proportionately.
Would it not be wise if the high schools are the hot spots, like you said, Ms. Taylor, to maybe approve the high schools for now? And we can always come back, I guess. Do we have a timeline, Dr. Owens, on when we have to approve these monies?
I haven't put my eyes on Mr. Lewis, but I believe those contracts typically for DSP are June 30th.
Mr. Lewis, can you come to the podium, please?
June 30th is the date typically. By that time, we try to notify our police officers regarding SRO programs.
As far as the DSP contract, for example, if you're going to delete an SRO from the Delaware State Police, they need to know no later than June 1st. And we just received a proposal from DSP today for next school year.
And if we approve them, we have to approve them by June?
No later than June 1st.
So you could certainly move forward on that, as you indicated, those positions, because I don't think we would, our two high schools need those SROs from Delaware State Police.
Yeah.
So we could act on that and then consider after next month as well.
And it would be 2 SROs at Sussex Central due to the size of the high school and 1 SRO at Indian River High School.
Because the middle school is being added up there, which is going to increase that complaint load heavily, correct?
Yes,
We're
correct.
going to have about 3,000 kids
Yes.
on location.
Yeah, probably over 3.
And I'm sure, Mr. Cathey, you probably speak better to this than I can. With the DSP contract, if you're going to be asking for another SRO for DSP, they're going to need to know that very soon, because they need to make a determination if they have the manpower in order to not to fund that, be able to provide that SRO. Because I'm not sure when their next academy class is going to start, because all that used to kind of belly roll right into that academy class. If you're going to be wanting, or any district would want, an additional SRO for their school year.
So the proposal you have in hand, is that for 2 or 3?
According to the back side of this is for 3.
Okay.
SROs at the Sussex Central Middle School complex.
Three or
Two SROs at
Two
Sussex
there
Central.
and one at
Yes.
Indian
One
River.
in Indian
Yes.
River.
And Mr. Cathell, if the referendum passes, would we have the opportunity to possibly revisit this structure?
I don't know about timeline-wise. Would that be too late, Mr. Lewis?
What was
As
the
far
question
as
again? I'm
When
sorry.
they would need to be notified. It is a possibility.
Yes, I think, we did have our chief of police at the May meeting, and certainly I think they're in the same position as the DSP because they need to know for manpower if they would need to add on to their fleet as well. But speaking on the DSP, they would need to know as soon as possible if you're going
Agree
to,
that
if you're going to,
June 1st and then June 5th is the referendum, so obviously that's 5 days after the deadline. That's why I was asking that question.
and probably what we should do, if that's going to be considered, we should be reaching out to DSP now and say, listen, we're talking about this at board level now. What's the possibility of having an additional state SRO for next school year? And just see what kind of language we get back from them. I know there's some personnel changes that have occurred, I should say, at the headquarters complex. So I'm not sure who is it Major Ballinger?
Yes.
Yes. So I think whatever discussion is having here tonight, I definitely think we need to have DSP alerted and also the local towns so they can be put on standby on what we're going to do with the local PDs as far as their SRO program as well.
It certainly is no reflection on what the town SROs have done. I can say this, they've, the years we've had them, they've been great, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes you in this business, sometimes finances control decisions, unfortunately, and that's kind of where we are. So do we need to lock in on the state tonight if it's by June 1st? Is that if we're asking for additional, or?
I think we need to make a decision soon. And, again, I don't want to speak on behalf of the state police, but I think there's a decision needs to be made one way or the other.
I hope I don't regret this, but I'm going to make a motion to keep our constable program, get the 2 SROs at Sussex Central High School and the one at Indian River, and then table all the rest for later.
I can, Mrs. Rhoda, I can certainly step out and make some phone calls to some contacts I have at DSP. And maybe just come back with something so we can, still talk about it tonight, or
Is there a possibility of any other board meetings coming up that we could decide before June 1st or not?
I don't know about June 1st, but we will have to have another interim board meeting for sure, just with personnel happening this time of year.
The referendum's the 5th, so we're not going to really know until after the 5th.
So are we proposing to, based on?
She just made a motion.
I think she's made a motion.
Right, so we have the motion. The motion is that we have 2 at Sussex Central and then one
One at Indian River.
Indian River. So if it's on here now, has DSP been alerted that there's a possibility of 3?
That I'm not aware of. That would be, Mr. Lewis would have done that.
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
And maintain the constable program.
Right, and maintain the constable program. So,
I just have a question before we go to that motion. Is it possible to get the information that he possibly can get for us tonight by the phone calls, and we could table this item until a little later, until you get the information? And then we can go forward.
that's fine.
Yes, I'll do my best. I'll step out.
There is a motion, so Mrs. West Warner, I think you would need to rescind your motion.
Okay, I'll rescind my motion.
Get the information, because
Yes.
I'm with you. I just want to see if we
Yes.
get the further information.
Okay. So, Mr. Lewis, if you'll step by,
ma'am.
alert DSP that we're looking at 3 SROs instead of 2, and if that's feasible. Okay? Thank you.
As I speak, we have how many at Sussex Central High School right now? How many SROs?
1.
One.
Yes, ma'am.
And one at Indian River.
Yes.
And we're talking 2 SROs for next year at Sussex Central and 1 at Indian River. Is
Yes.
that, I got that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That also would incorporate the Sussex Central Middle School as well. Sussex Central Middle School, Sussex Central High School.
And then how are we making sure that Selbyville Middle School and Georgetown Middle School is being covered?
Again, that's the discussion that we would have to have with the chief of police. Because there is there's a law, and I would have to do some research on this, and you can do it as well. It's called Delaware Home Rule. It's been around for a long time. Basically states that as a township, you're entitled to maintain the laws of all of those buildings within your town limits. There's more to it, but if you want to do some research, it's called Delaware Home Rule.
Okay. So we will move on to 6.12, Sussex Central High School change order notifications.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On your board docs for this agenda item, you will find 18 change orders, all of which have been presented before the Buildings and Grounds Committee, and all of which are being presented as board notifications as they are below the dollar amounts outlined under the board's procedures for change order approval thresholds. Mr. Brad Cowan with Richard Y. Johnson Construction is here to respond to any questions you might have. Absent of any questions, we are seeking board approval at this time.
These were the change orders that we discussed and went over in the committee meetings for those that were there, those that weren't. If you look at them and you have any questions, now's an opportunity for you to ask them. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for 6.12.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Old business, 7.01, major capital planning.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. Some of our board members were able to visit and tour the school during our most recent executive construction committee meeting. There is a lot of progress happening in the school right now, as there should be. We are still on pace for opening in the fall. A few updates. Site work is progressing on the courtyards, main entrance, and ball fields. The classroom wing metal panels and flooring are complete. Interior wood door installation is substantially complete. Mechanical, electrical, and fire alarms are complete, and testing and startup is underway. Finished painting in the classroom wing and stairwells continues. The main gym basketball equipment, running track, and bleachers have been installed. Installation of the gym wood flooring is occurring this month. Final casework is being installed, and cleaning and waxing of all the classrooms is ongoing. The furniture is arriving and being installed. There are trucks there daily bringing the furniture in. Richard Y. Johnson is working with our State Fire Marshal's office for approvals in order to obtain the certificate of occupancy this month. The signage package has been sent out to bid. We're anxiously awaiting that, and our executive group continues to meet monthly to explore cost savings, construction alternates, and project obstacles. That concludes my report.
Thank you. 7.02, the June 5th referendum. Dr. Owens?
Yes, thank you. As many of you are aware, we completed our first of 3 public meetings. That was at Millsboro Middle School. Attendance occurred both in-house, and we streamed that virtually on Facebook and on YouTube, and we took questions from both sides. Our next meeting is scheduled for this Wednesday at Lord Baltimore Elementary at 7 p.m., and then again next Wednesday, the 28th, at Indian River High School. Our team continues to conduct outreach within our schools and community, and I appreciate everyone's efforts to support and disseminate information regarding a referendum as we move closer to June 5th. Our radio campaign has been paid for by IREA, our teachers union. We appreciate that, and that will begin very soon. We also continue outreach into our various civic organizations and through our homeowners associations. We continue work with our local media. I was on the radio with Mike Bradley this morning. I know Mr. Steele was on the radio, one of our local radio stations, and I know many of you are out and about in the community. One most recent this Sunday, Mrs. Klein and Mrs. Briggs were out at an event in Georgetown, so we appreciate those efforts, and we continue our work to provide answers to questions folks have and just get general information out to our community. No.
7.03, G.W. Carver consent update. Dr. Winstead.
Good evening. We have met again with Matt Den just last week. On Thursday, he met with some of the special ed coordinators to ask specific updates on some of the students. We'll be pulling together the quarter 4 report after the school year ends, and we have a meeting on June 5th, another community advisory board meeting, and that will be at Howard T. Ennis. And we continue to monitor the graduation rate and discipline for the disproportionality, and we'll give an update at the Community Advisory Board for those plans. Any questions?
Thank you. Committee reports, 8.01, buildings and ground. Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. We met on Monday, May the 12th. We reviewed, had a construction update. Brad Cowan took us through some photographs of the new building. We went through a long list of change orders. All of them were just informational type change orders, I believe, none requiring board action per se. Under old business, we did hear from Steve DiGirolamo. In the last 30 days, 66 tickets were open, 59 were closed. We still have 49 tickets currently active. Futures Committee update, there's an update given. I think Karen gave that update pertaining to Tyler Bryant and the school board looking at the boundary changes, and it's not going to affect a whole lot of kids, but at least enough that we could make personal contact and talk to those kids about changing schools, see if that's an option that they would want to do. We had an update on the MOVE Committee. Mr. Dooley gave us an update. The shop area tools were moved over spring break. That went very well. The next move is going to occur over a few weeks, starting on June 17th. Initial priority is going to be given to the high and middle school administration offices to get them up and running so that they can prepare for the school year, and then continue on until everything is complete. Under new business, we did not get too much in detail of the Indian River High School LPR agreement request. That's going to be a topic that will be discussed probably, I'm guessing, Mr. Dooley, at the next committee meeting. We'll have a presentation there. And this basically is a concept of placing cameras near Sussex Central High School, Indian River High School, and it gives the police an idea of who's coming, who's going. Mr. Dooley gave 2 updates on the small projects tool update. That was a tracking tool in buildings and grounds for non-maintenance type items. Within the last year, 134 items have been completed, 57 items are currently active, 148 items are in planning, and 51 items are in pre-planning. Finally, the compliance tool update. This was something that Mr. Dooley and his Buildings and Grounds group started several months ago. It's a huge spreadsheet showing all the compliance items that relate to buildings and grounds. And they went through the tool aids with 4 particular areas. 1, maintaining institutional knowledge over time in the face of personnel changes. 2, scheduling and such services to stay in compliance. 3, negotiations with the various vendors for better services and or pricing. And 4, charting total annual costs to be used in a line item in an annual building and grounds budget, which is also in the works. That's the idea that Mr. Dooley and I had talked about a month ago now, about we really need as a district to start putting some money away because we have some huge projects coming and Minor Cap is not going to be able to cover all of them, and some of them aren't going to come under major construction. So we're not going to be able to get state help for some of those. So that's something that we hope to continue to discuss in the future. Building, the Meeting adjourned at 6:01. Our next meeting is 5 o'clock on June the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. 8.02, comprehensive school safety, Mr. Cathell.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. So we pretty much covered everything I wanted to discuss under new business. I did want to add one thing. I wanted to let everybody know that we will be going online with our weapons detection systems at Sussex Central and Indian River this coming school year. So probably be some bumps starting out, but we'll get through it. So that's the only thing I wanted to add, so thank you.
Thank you. 8.03, finance, Mr. Peden.
Yes. Mrs. Smith requested that extra work pay rates item on the agenda be tabled until a later date. Ms. Smith presented an alternative to EPR pay for high school CTE and music drama positions. The alternative will make the CTE and drama positions 10-month plus 15 days. Concert and marching band will be 10-month and 19 days. EPR will be continued to be paid for national competitions only. This change is estimated to save the district approximately $56.9 thousand in local funds. This will be taken to the board for action. We had also discussed the SRO contracts, the towns, the amount of the contracts, and we previously went over that. Ms. Smith presented the SRO financial projections based on the 8 cents current expense tax revenue reserved for safety and security. The fiscal year 2025 beginning balance in this account was just over $208,000. The projected fiscal year 2026 beginning balance is just over $24,000. Ms. Smith presented an overview of the local tax rates and the allowable match tax, which can be implemented without referendum to help with operational costs. Mrs. Smith will present the local tax rates and match tax options at the board meeting. Ms. Smith presented fiscal year 26 revenue and expenditure projections with the conclusion that the district will have enough funds to cover the 25-26 school year should there be no unexpected changes in the district funding formula, increased cost drivers, etc. This is made possible due to cost-saving measures and utilizing reserve fund accounts such as curriculum to temporarily bridge the budget shortfall until the tax revenue is received in September/October. Ms. Smith reviewed April 30, 2025 financial reports. Dr. Owen shared that he has been contacted by Sussex Land Trust regarding purchasing, preserving Ingram Pond and the town of Selbyville regarding purchasing part of the SDSA property for a town park expansion. Dr. Owens will provide further information to the board at a later date. Dr. Davis came with the Sussex Central High School uniform requests, and that had already been discussed. And that concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. 8.04.
Yes, Mr. Neal is obviously not with us this evening. However, the bulk of that curriculum committee was covered this evening through Dr. Jones and the principals with their plans moving forward with targeted school improvement.
Thank you. 8.05, DSBA Board of Directors, Connie Pryor.
No report.
8.06, DSBA Legislative, Mrs. Briggs.
I don't have a report. We don't meet until the 28th up in Dover, so I'll have something for next month.
Okay, thank you. 8.07, Special Education, no report. Mr. Neal isn't present. 8.08, Policy, Mrs. Taylor.
Sure. We met, and the first thing we went right into after the approval of the minutes were we had 2 second readings with no additional changes, and they were IF, Curriculum Development, and KGC, Tobacco-Free Environment. The board will need to take action on these 2 policies tonight. The policies that are under review are ECB, Integrated Pest Management Policy, There were no suggested changes thus far. EKEA, recovery or original credit opportunities. That was just a review with the normal cycle. IKF, graduation requirements, normal review cycle and no suggested changes. JHCE, wellness nutrition policy, again, normal review cycle, no additional changes. JO, student records, normal review cycle, no changes were recommended. And KLA, complaint procedures for possible policy violations. And Celeste wanted to make the committee aware that this policy is being reviewed by legal, and possible edits to the policy will be presented at the May meeting. We adjourned at 4:13, and our next meeting is June 9th at 4 p.m.
Okay, so we do need a motion on the second readings for curriculum development and tobacco-free environment.
Right.
I make a motion, we approve those changes to those policies.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you. 8.09, IREA representative.
Good evening, Blair Catlin Brown, school social worker at Southern Delaware School of the Arts and president-elect for IREA. You all have received an invite to our board meet and greet, hopefully, for May 27th at the Millsboro Grotto. We hope to see you all there. It's just an opportunity for members to stop in, chit-chat, get some pizza, have a drink, get to talk about what's going on, and just try to, it's nice to see you guys here, but it's nice to also see you in a more kind of informal setting and chat and see what's going on. So we hope you're able to make it out. And even if you're not, that's something I'm looking forward to, trying to figure out ways that we can interact on more. These are, again, formal ways, but informal ways as well. So we'll look to those moving forward. Last week, I felt like it was a very successful week. I went to, on behalf of DSEA and IREA, went to the county council meeting where I was able to present over 600 signatures in support of impact fees from residents and people who work in Sussex County, plus another 100 signatures of people outside the county who were interested in it. And huge thank to Kay Penlopin for their finance department and their EA of being supportive. Huge thanks to Tammy Smith for coming out and speaking, to Kelly Klein and Lisa Hudson-Briggs for coming out and speaking in favor of impact fees. And for the first time in several years, the council made movement. So they are going to look at language trying to mirror Kent County's impact fees. So we want to stay on them to make sure they do that, but I think it was a 4-1 vote. Again, huge movement, and it really shows the power of us all staying involved, getting out there in the community and let them know that the constituents care. And as I said at the meeting, it is very rare when the union, when the district, and when the community all agree on something so strongly. So we really wanted to jump on it and make sure that we got some movement there. So that was very exciting. On that note, congratulations again to Lisa and Kelly for being reelected. We look forward to continuing to work with you, and to Michelle Parsons. We can't wait to get to know you and work with you as well. Piggybacking on the conversation around the discipline survey, Dr. Owens sits on the Student Behavior and School Climate Task Force at the state, which is going to start back up. A survey would be amazing. I'm sure Dr. Owens would love to discuss it with them. Remember that they do have public comments at all of those meetings that all of you guys are welcome to call into as well. I think hearing from people directly makes a huge sway on those sort of things because it's local people, it's DSEA members, they do listen. Because you're right, they need to hear from us and they need to know what we're experiencing day to day. So I look forward to being able to listen into those meetings and hear what Dr. Owens can present from down here. You talked about June 5th, June 5th, June 5th, June 5th. Everyone put it on your calendar. We can't say it enough. We look forward to having the referendum vote. Thank you to Dr. Owens for pointing out the things that IREA are working on. Something we're really focusing on is community engagement now and moving forward. We're working on a task force because these cycles come up, right, where we're like, we go to the community and have these big asks, but we recognize that we need to keep this positive momentum, the goodwill going, build it so that when we need things from the community, it doesn't seem like we're just gimme, gimme, gimme. We're a partner every single day, every single year. So we're working on that at IREA to build a task force that we can do that. 16 student days left. We're tired, but we're also grateful. It's been a good year despite a lot of hardships. We've talked about that on and on. But we are grateful that we've had a successful year in terms of educating our students, getting this far. We're going to stay activated and engaged to finish this year strong, pass this referendum, because again, we have no choice, and we're going to get it passed. And we're going to go into the summer, recharge, and be ready for next school year. So we hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and we can do this. 16 student days. We got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Owens.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. The complete listing of activities is in board docs. Since our last board meeting, a couple of highlights. I want to thank all the members of our team that were responsible for putting together just a really unbelievable Teacher of the Year ceremony. Every year, I think it's really well done, and I'm not sure how we can outdo ourselves, but it was really great this year. So thank you to a lot of folks that made that very special, and a congratulations to Mrs. Amanda Howard, kindergarten teacher at Long Neck Elementary, who was selected as the Indian River School District 25-26 Teacher of the Year. And Mrs. Pryor, thank you for sitting in on that committee. I know that was a long day and a lot of hard work, but very special for Mrs. Howard being selected. So we look forward to her representing our district as she moves on to the state competition. And finally, recently, last week, I was able to join Sussex Central High School's team, as well as many community members, as they celebrated many of their seniors through their award ceremony. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships were awarded, as well as other recognitions from many different fields within the school. So really great to see so many students recognized there at Sussex Central High School as we move forward with graduation here very soon, and then wish them well as they move out into the workforce, college, military, et cetera. That concludes my report.
Thank you. 9.02, district calendar change.
Thank you. You saw this last board meeting, and we wanted to bring this back for particularly a look at the last day, that June 16th. So just as a reminder, our last student day is June 11th. That following day, we had selected as a remote half-day grades, half-day teacher workday. That has to occur that following day, so our counselor team can prepare the grades and get those ready in time to go out to the students. So no suggested change there, nor is there a suggested change to this classroom breakdown day, which is again scheduled for June 13th. The one change I do want to ask for consideration this evening is that June 16th date. That is our Infinite Campus Training Day, so no change to that. However, that training can all occur online. So we asked for consideration for our staff to be able to do that remotely on June 16th. They would have a requirement to have everything done on that day, and we would have our schools open and available to the staff to come in that needed it. However, it can be completed remotely as well. So that is a change from last time that we want to acknowledge and have the board to consider. So again, they're listed there for you for consideration, and we would ask for board action.
Any questions? Would you entertain a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Financial reports, 10.01, financial summaries for month ending April 30th, 2025.
Yes, at that point, we were 83% of the way through the fiscal year. We'd received 92% of our total budgeted revenue, 98% of budgeted discretionary revenue, and 100% of our budgeted local tax revenue. We've received approximately $316,500 in interest in April for our March balances. We had spent 72% of total budgeted expenses, 78% of total discretionary expenses, and 70% of our budgeted tuition-funded classrooms. And Howard T.N.S. has spent 82% of budgeted expenses.
Any questions? I'd entertain a motion for that report.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 10.02, detail information for month ending April 30th, 2025.
Our student activity funding balance is approximately $89,000, and that is after our spring meeting obligations that the board approved last month. We have $7.3 million in federal funds available and are holding $1.5 million in donations in student funds and internal accounts.
Any questions? I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 10.03, major capital improvements for month ending April 30th, 2025.
For the month of April, we paid out $3.9 million in major cap expenses.
Any questions? I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 10.04, minor capital improvements for month ending April 30th, 2025.
So for the three allocations available for us for those 3 fiscal years, we've spent and encumbered approximately $5.5 million and have $1.9 million available to spend.
Any questions? A motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 10.05, fiscal year 2026 financial projections.
Yes, we discussed this in committee and wanted to bring it forward to the whole board. So just as a reminder, from our March 31st meeting, we discussed the projections for next year. So I took this year's revenues and expenses, assuming without a referendum passing, but incorporating the cost savings measures that we've put in place so far, taking into account RIFs and the changes in the EPR schedules, and the other cost saving things we've done here and there, that all things being equal, it does look like we will be able to get through next year till next June 30th with the funds that we have available. Now, that is not to say, that's not taking into account is changes in any unit count, our student enrollment as of 9/30, any changes in federal or state funding that we're not aware of that's coming down the pike. So we will see how that goes. We do again plan to bridge that temporary shortfall this summer with our curriculum funds, and we will monitor those balances as we go through next year to see if we have to do additional cost-saving measures or something to get through. But as of now, all things being equal, it does look like we would be able to make it till next June. It's going to be very tight, but we should be able to make it.
10.06, fiscal year 2026 local tax rates.
Yes, so it's that time of year again. So I, in committee, presented our local tax rates. So I will go through that again. The plan for June is for committee, I will bring the tax rate calculations. Obviously, depending on what happens on June 5th, that will incorporate that information in there. Those rates will be calculated using the new assessed values from the county. I've gotten updates. Originally, we got the numbers February 15th, and then I got updates a couple of weeks ago, and then just last week. So even though the appeals process has been happening, our district is continuing to grow. So we are not losing assessed values from that original February 15th number. It's going up. So some of those tax rates will be calculated down probably even further. But with that, we'll talk about the new tax rates, that conversion, that 10% in reassessment time, which obviously you already voted to not do if referendum passes, and all of those other regular and match taxes. So just so you know as well, if there are any changes, since the appeals process is still going on, anything major between committee and the board meeting, I may have to adjust those numbers. So just fair warning, we typically don't have to do that, but just because this year is different than anything we've experienced thus far. So again, just to go through the tax rates that are available to us, there is current expense, obviously what the referendum is for, so that's covering the local share of salaries. And as Mr. Steele pointed out earlier, that's the vast majority of what those funds cover, but also intended to cover textbooks and technology and insurance and our legal bills, athletic programs, instructional materials, all of those things that go into operating a school district. And that is set by the 2017 referendum. Should the referendum pass on June 5th, that will change that, but typically that cannot be changed by the board. The only exception is that 10% language in the year of reassessment. Also, just so you're aware, the reassessment is supposed to happen every 5 years, but there's been legislation introduced to change that to 10 years. So we will be working through that process as well. The debt service rate encompasses our payments for principal and interest payments on any of our major cap referendums that have occurred. So that rate is set every year based on the balance in that account, the revenues that have received, the interest that's been earned during the year, and what payments we have to make in the next year and the first quarter of the following year. That was all set by an Attorney General's opinion many, many years ago. Our tuition tax rate is the rate that is set solely by the board based on the budget for next year. Those funds are being used and can only be used by law for pre-K, intense and complex special education needs. So whether it's salaries or materials, approved tuition programs. So things like us sending our kids, our resident kids to Howard T. Ennis, the Sussex Consortium, the Delaware School for the Deaf, any of those other programs where we need to provide additional services. Also included in that is the Academic Challenge Program. That's an approved tuition program through DOE, but there's some other costs factors in there. On to the match taxes. The match tax that we have historically collected as a district is minor cap. That is funding for buildings and grounds repairs and maintenance. The state matches 60% to our 40%. It's set in the bond bill every year, so we set the rates based on what the bond bill says. There are various other match taxes that we have not historically collected, so I will go through those quickly. Technology, we can use that for personnel and non-personnel costs related to purchasing new technology, repairing any maintenance required. The extra time match tax rate is for providing extra instruction, so we're talking ESY or after-school tutoring. Reading resources, we can use that to cover the local salary of one reading teacher in every K-5 school. Mathematics resource teacher, we can use that to cover the local cost associated with one position in every building with a configuration of 7th and 8th grade. Reading interventionist, we can use that to cover the local share of the staffing in our student success block grant. That's 5 positions. DOE tells us each year what schools are to get those. Opportunity funding is used for both personnel and non-personnel costs associated with supporting low-income students and English learners, although that one is a bit different than most because the opportunity funding does cover 100% of salaries for people paid out of that grant, so there isn't a local share associated with it. Newer in recent history is a substitute teacher block grant match. That's for employing full-time 10-month substitute teachers to help cover in buildings. However, we don't qualify for those based off of our high needs metrics that's set by the state. Enhanced minor capital improvements. So on the document, I crossed that out because per the governor's recommended bond bill, enhanced minor cap no longer exists in that language. It appears that they have combined that with regular minor cap. So before, enhanced minor cap was optional. Enhanced minor cap match was optional. Should that continue together, then that would be a required match. Although I did get word in the past couple of weeks that they are taking a look at that legislatively. I don't think there was the realization that the match on that was optional, so combining that can have local impact. So we will see how that goes. That's another thing that may change between the committee meeting and the board meeting, just because obviously the legislature is in session and things are changing daily there. And then last but not least, new for this school year, we received an athletic trainers block grant from the state for employing 10-month high school athletic trainers. So there is a match associated for the local share of those personnel costs as well. And then on the back, the last page of that packet, the only thing I included was that 10% language in a reassessment year, just so you all had that, and the details of that. So open it up to any questions, but otherwise, those are all the taxes that are available to us, and we will discuss that further in June committee.
So the only tax we've ever done is the minor cap tax,
To
correct?
my knowledge, yes.
And I believe the only other district is Milford.
In Sussex County, yes. That only collects minor cap for match tax, no other match taxes. I don't know if anyone in Sussex County, off the top of my head, collects all of the match taxes. I think it's kind of rare for a district to collect all, but in Sussex County, everyone else is collecting some combination of the ones available.
I just had a question on, I don't know if it goes with this, Tammy, but with the impact fees, if that does go through the Sussex County Council, that is only for major capital improvement projects, is that correct?
I believe it will be. So the VSA program that they were originally looking at by Delaware Code only allows it for capital expenses. In the meeting last week, Sussex County talked about mirroring Kent County's language. They like the way it was written, and that does limit it only to major cap. So I believe that's the way it will come through. But yes, I don't believe we will be able to use it for any operating expenses.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
Thank you.
Moving on to communications, 11.01, field trip requests.
Thank you. 3 requests this evening: overnight trip by Sussex Central High School yearbook editors on July 27th through the 29th to Gettysburg, PA. That's funded out of the school yearbook account. Our overnight trip by Sussex Central High School wrestling, June 19th to 23rd to Manchester, New Hampshire, and that's funded from the wrestling boosters. And an overnight trip by Sussex Central High School's TSA, June 26th through July 1 to Nashville, and that's funded through our student activities funds.
Any questions? I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. 11.02, use of facility requests.
Yes, one request: the use of Lord Baltimore Elementary Playground, parking lots, cafeteria, and restrooms on May 31st, 2025, with a rain date of June 1st, which is a Sunday, by Special Olympics.
And we have done that in the past. right?
I believe so.
Any questions? A motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Personnel. Personnel agenda. Would entertain a motion to accept it, pulling out 2, 9, and 91. Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Now, a motion to accept number 2.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 9, a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 91. A motion to pull this,
Tabling that?
I'm sorry, table.
Table. I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Then we move on to the addendum. I would entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That is unanimous. Contractual agenda. Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That is unanimous. And then we come to 12.04. It doesn't require any action, but it gives us notification of some people that have chose to retire, and we wish them well. Now we come to I would entertain a motion at this time, before we go in public session, to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do we have a second to go in executive session?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're now back into executive session. our regular session meeting at this time. I would entertain a motion for number 91. I would entertain a motion for number 91. Hearing none, the motion will stand as in the past. So then we would go back to discussing 6.11. Our school resource officers, contracts, and financial projections. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we keep the one SRO in Indian River, request the 2 SROs for Sussex Central, and we keep the constable program intact.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Abstain.
Mrs. Troublefield, will you put forward, please?
Mrs. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Cathell?
Abstain.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Peden?
Yes.
Mrs. Pryor?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright?
Abstain.
7 yes, 0 no, and 2 abstentions.
Okay, it passes by majority vote. And now we come to our second part of public comment, 1301. We don't have anyone signed up, but if there's anyone that would like to come forward, I would read the same thing. The school board welcomes the opportunity to hear from the public during our public comment session at the beginning and end of each public session. Members of the public speaking as individuals or a member who represents an organization will be allotted up to 3 minutes as per board policy BDDH. In order to comply with the First Amendment, the board will not entertain protracted public comment with in favor or against a staff member. If a speaker makes defamatory statements or invades the privacy rights of a student or employee, the speaker is responsible for such statements and may be held liable. We thank you for adhering to this policy when sharing public comments. We let the record show that we do have one that wishes to speak. Could you do your name, please?
Yes, ma'am. It's Kenneth McLaughlin, Ocean View Police Department.
You may go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I was going to address the SRO problem, but since the vote's already been passed, it's kind of moot. But I would like to say a couple things nonetheless. Earlier this evening, there was a mention of a report that was prepared by the Chief of Police in Millsboro, Delaware, regarding SRO activities. A lot of the information contained in that report would lead anyone to believe that certain SROs in certain schools have less activity than others. That is far from the truth. The truth of the matter is some police departments classify and pull complaint numbers for certain responses where others do not. That, I'll just say this, the report from Millsboro, I would say use that for Millsboro. You know, he referenced Ocean View, he referenced Georgetown. I can tell you the police chief there in Georgetown, and I can speak for myself, and also I spoke with the Shelbyville police chief. We don't necessarily agree with the information that was provided about our SROs and the schools in our communities. If you want to know anything about our SROs and our communities and what they do or don't do, we'd love to have the opportunity in the future to explain that to you. This vote tonight, I hope that we can go back before next school year and amend that. I understand there is some funding issue, but this vote, if it goes forward, and again, I'm only going to speak about Ocean View Police Department and Lord Baltimore Elementary School, significantly reduces the safety in Lord Baltimore Elementary School. We have over 600 elementary school students and staff. These are small kids, unlike the high school that can fend for themselves to some degree. These kids are going to be helpless if there's any kind of, God forbid, an active shooter or active attack at the school or a fire at the school. Our officers are over there every single day. We have 3 to 4 officers in that school every single day, and I can tell you it's a busy place. And while I'm only going to talk about Lord Baltimore School, I assure you it's the same in each one of those schools. Every school, I commend you, and I commend Mr. Steele in the past and Pep Lewis for having the vision of creating a constable program. But one officer, one constable is
15
not
seconds,
enough
Chief.
to protect the school. And, it's a large school, 600-some just students, 27 glass doors, kids inside, outside, and it's at a minimum a 2-person operation. And by eliminating the SRO at Lord Baltimore Elementary School, I think, unfortunately, it's created a significant security risk to the students and staff there. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to make a public comment? Seeing no one coming forward and nothing else to come before the board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?